The concert was 20 minutes from starting when Tina Turner's security team brought her an unusual request. A woman had been found in the backstage corridor. She wasn't supposed to be there. She didn't have a backstage pass, and she was not trying to get closer to the stage. She was sitting on the floor against the wall, crying. What happened over the next 40 minutes, before Tina Turner walked out in front of 50,000 people, is the part of that night that nobody in the arena ever saw. It was the summer of 1997. The Wildest Dreams tour was in its final weeks. The venue was a massive outdoor stadium in Rotterdam, the Netherlands. 50,000 tickets sold, every one of them purchased months in advance. The woman on the floor of the backstage corridor was 31 years old. Her name was Sarah. She had driven 4 hours to be there. She had purchased her ticket 7 months earlier, before everything in her life had changed. What had changed in those 7 months, Sarah has described in the years since with the careful economy of someone who has learned to carry a thing without being crushed by it. She had left a marriage. Not because she wanted to, because staying had become something she could not continue doing without losing what remained of herself. She had left with her daughter, who was 4 years old. She had moved into her sister's apartment. She had spent 7 months rebuilding the basic structures of a life, a job, a routine, a reason to get up in the morning that was larger than the grief she was managing. The ticket to the Tina Turner concert had been purchased before all of that, in the life before, by a version of herself who had bought it as a celebration of something she no longer had. She had almost given the ticket away. 3 separate times she had decided not to go. Her sister had told her to go. Her sister had taken the 4-year-old for the night and told Sarah to get in the car and drive the 4 hours and sit in a stadium and let Tina Turner remind her of something. Sarah had gotten in the car. She had driven the 4 hours. She had parked the car and walked toward the stadium entrance. And in the corridor outside the backstage entrance, a corridor she had no reason to be in, a wrong turn in an unfamiliar venue, something gave way. Not dramatically, not with warning. She sat down on the floor against the wall, and she could not get up. The security team found her 7 minutes later, a woman in her 30s, sitting on the floor of a backstage corridor, crying in the specific way that people cry when they have been holding something for 7 months, and the holding has finally become more than they can manage. She was not a threat. She was not trying to access anything she wasn't supposed to access. She was just a woman on a floor. The security team member who found her was a man named Derek, who had been working Tina Turner's tours for 3 years. Derek was trained in threat assessment and access control and the specific protocols that govern backstage security at large-scale concerts. Derek sat down on the floor next to Sarah. He did not radio for assistance. He did not begin the standard process for removing unauthorized personnel from restricted areas. He sat down on the floor and said, "You okay?" Sarah told him no. She told him she was fine. Derek noted that these were 2 contradictory statements and did not pursue either of them. He sat with her for a few minutes. Sarah began to collect herself. She told him she was sorry. She told him she would go find her seat. She told him she didn't know what had happened. Derek helped her stand up. And then, because he had been working Tina Turner's tours for 3 years and had learned certain things about how the production operated, he made a decision. He walked her to the production office. He spoke briefly to a senior member of the tour management team. 2 minutes later, someone knocked on Tina Turner's dressing room door. Tina was 19 minutes from going on stage. The hair was done, the makeup was done, the costume was on. The pre-show routine, the 90 seconds of stillness and the chanting and the internal preparation that her crew knew not to interrupt, had been completed. She was ready. Someone knocked anyway. The person on the other side of the door relayed what Derek had described, a woman in the corridor, 31 years old, 4-hour drive, 7 months. Tina Turner opened the dressing room door. Sarah was brought to the dressing room doorway. She has described the moment of seeing Tina Turner in full stage costume, every element of the performance version of herself in place, as the moment she almost apologized and left, because she could see clearly that this woman was 19 minutes from walking out in front of 50,000 people. And whatever Sarah was carrying was not this woman's problem to carry. Tina Turner looked at Sarah for a moment. Then she stepped back from the door. The same gesture, the same invitation. Sarah sat on the small sofa in the dressing room. Tina sat across from her, not beside her, directly across, so that she could see Sarah's face. She did not ask Sarah to explain. She did not ask what had happened, or why she was in the corridor, or what 7 months had looked like. She asked one question. What did you come here to feel? Sarah has said in the years since that this question is the one she still thinks about, not because of what she answered, because of what the question assumed. It assumed that Sarah had come with intention, that underneath the 4-hour drive and the wrong turn and the floor of the corridor, there was something Sarah had been moving toward, something she had needed to feel, and had driven 4 hours to feel it. Sarah told her. She told Tina Turner, in a dressing room 19 minutes before a show for 50,000 people, what she had come to feel. That she was still here, that leaving had not ended her, that the version of herself who had bought that ticket 7 months ago in the life before, that woman was still somewhere intact. Tina listened. She did not fill the silence that followed. She let the silence be what it needed to be. Then she said, "You drove 4 hours. You're still here. That is not nothing. That is everything." Tina Turner walked out onto that stage 16 minutes later. Sarah watched from the front row. Derek had seen to that. She has said that she cannot describe what it was to watch Tina Turner perform that night. Not from a general seat in a stadium of 50,000, from the front row, with 16 minutes of dressing room still in her. She cried through most of it. Not the way she had cried on the floor of the corridor, a different way. The way a person cries when something they needed to feel has finally been felt. Tina Turner did not acknowledge Sarah from the stage. She did not gesture toward the front row or dedicate a song or make what had happened in the dressing room into part of the performance. She simply performed, at full capacity, for 50,000 people, and for one woman in the front row who had driven 4 hours and sat on a floor and been asked one question that she is still thinking about. Sarah's daughter is 29 years old now. Sarah has told her the story of that night, not as a story about Tina Turner, as a story about what it means to still be here. Her daughter has the ticket stub. She keeps it in her wallet. What did you come here to feel? If this story moved you, if you have ever driven 4 hours towards something you needed to feel, subscribe and share this video. Leave a comment. Tell us what you came to feel. We read every one.